Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi coming to you live this Tuesday, December 3rd at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern, where we come every week to talk with you and take your questions live about U.S. immigration law. I'm a U.S. immigration attorney. Been doing it for, I don't know, more than 10 years, 10, 15 years now. Taught in law schools, Pepperdine, Loyola, got a bunch of awards, and primarily because I love talking about immigration law. So it helps a lot when you like what you do and you like talking about it. So we come here and take your questions live. We can't give individual legal guidance. We need a private consultation for that. So everything here is general purpose. Sometimes people ask too specific questions. We can't answer that. Sometimes it's so broad and general. It's just something that you can't answer. It's like, how do you come to America? That's a huge conversation. There's a sweet spot in the middle where people get the perfect questions, and those are the ones I can answer with a little bit of detail enough to help guide you on your way. But if you want to schedule a private consultation, go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact, jqqlaw.com/contact, and schedule a private consultation there. There are fees, but the first thing is go to the website, and the website asks your name and like you to briefly describe the immigration issue you have, because that way I could see like if it's something we can handle. If you call us about asylum claim, for example, we don't do asylum law, so we won't be able to help you with that. But there's other cases you want to start a small business, then we help. Keaton says good night, and JR says good morning. So across the world, so different time zones popping up. First question, Prop says, my father received Social Security card, but haven't received for F3 category. I want to ask when I'll receive my card. I'm his son. If you're a derivative of that, call USCIS to see if they sent it already or not. I'm not exactly sure where your case is, so there might be some issues or if they approved your case yet or not. Call USCIS if you think there's something missing, but I'm not sure exactly if the case is pending. It's not pending where it is in the process, so I can't answer that for sure. On TikTok, we got a lot of people joining us. Thanks for joining, and the questions are just starting to queue up, so we'll give it a second. Big news immigration-wise was if you're going to do a green card case in the United States, what's known as adjustment of status from I-485, you have to submit the medical checkup with the application without any notice. Monday, they told us this is the case. So people who are about to file on Monday or Tuesday also have to stop and do medicals. And who knows if it messes up their deadlines or what, but that's one situation there. JR says, may I ask about widow benefits? I'm not sure. Ask your question, and maybe I can answer. Maybe I can't. I don't know. Dr. Solar says, I'm a green card holder. Can I travel internationally with DUI arrest? That's too specific. I can tell you what you can do. I can't say that. But what will happen is, for sure, when you come in the country, they're going to hassle you at the airport. Probably they're going to let you in, but it depends. If you had a DUI and you hit somebody, then that's going to be problematic. But if you're going to court and stuff like that, probably it's okay. But don't travel if you're worried about it or you don't feel like dealing with the hassles of it. Prop says, do I have to go to the SSO Social Security office to make my Social Security office? I don't know. I'd go if you want to get a Social Security, you're supposed to get one, and you haven't, go contact them and see what the situation is. Your question SSO from SSO doesn't make sense, but just if you think it's the thing, go check it. This is government bureaucracy. Sometimes you just got to go and talk to people. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Keaton says, my spouse is a green card holder and I am Jamaican. She filed a year now. How long before I hear from them? Well, it's going to be a long time. There's a backlog for the F2A category. Probably take 2 or 3 years for them to approve the I-130. And by the time it's your turn to have an interview, probably 3 years. So see if your spouse is going to become a citizen. That'll be fast forward stuff. Probably still, you say card, contact, call, go to Social Security office and see what they could do. That's all I can say. Aponom says, can I travel? This is an immigration, so Social Security and stuff is outside our purview. Aponom says, can I travel or switch jobs? My I-751 is still in progress with the USCIS. Yeah, that's fine. Your job doesn't matter for your I-751 removal condition case. This is a case where someone married a green card holder and their marriage was new, so they gave them a 2-year green card. And then afterwards, they got to file for my 751 to get a 10-year green card. And in that case, your job doesn't matter. Can you travel? Yeah, you got the extension notice. Unless you have like criminal history arrests or some fishy issues with your background, travel shouldn't be a problem. But I don't know you personally, so I can't say, yeah, go ahead. But if you're clean, that's good. JR says, my mom is married to an American citizen who died a few years ago. Their marriage lasted 1 year and a few months, and my mom never was able to come to U.S. never again. Can she get Social Security benefits? I don't know about, as I said earlier, I don't cover Social Security laws, but if it's been less than 2 years since the death of your stepfather, in essence, your mom could get a green card. There's a widower green card. So you need to look at that. But with regard to Social Security benefits, I don't. That's not something we offer here. This is an immigration law firm. We don't handle Social Security benefits, so I can't answer that question. Joanna says, "Hello. Do you know how long waivers take, like for admissibility? Yeah, a 601 waiver is taking 2 to 4 years right now. It's pretty terrible." Kosaya, hi. How are you? If you came through the border and your asylum case is pending, can you marry you a citizen? We can marry you a citizen. That's not a problem. And depending on how they allowed you to enter the United States, if he gave you parole in or not, all this kind of stuff, you may be able to file for adjustment of status. Really depends. We have to see your notice to appear and then see what's said in there. We'll talk with the immigration lawyer in private. That's important. Lily asks, "Hey, Mr. John, happy month. Same to you. Can your U.S. citizen spouse travel abroad to attend the marriage green card in Europe?" No, I mean it can. It depends on the embassy whether they'll allow your spouse in. Usually they won't, but they could. But there's no point in that. But you can give it a shot. But it doesn't make a difference. It's not necessary. Pradeep says, "I currently have TPS, a temporary protected status. I have advanced parole as well. Will I be able to adjust status to EB3 if TPS is terminated?" Probably not. It depends. If you didn't maintain status for more than 180 days after the previous, it depends on a lot of factors. How kind of entry you had, how much unlawful presence days you had, or appears unauthorized without status. And so probably it's not a quick answer I could give you like that. But just that the parole doesn't help EB3 because it takes away from 245I. I just see I'm seeing numbers and letters. That's going to get it's too technical. So that's something you consult a lawyer about in private. Levion Levin says, "In the process of finalizing divorce, can I file my taxes as single in the coming year?" That's a tax question, buddy. This is immigration law firm. John says, "Hi, attorney. I filed C9 I-765. That's a green card work permit based on having a green card case pending in March 2024. I've received my ED. Is that normal? No, it's not normal at all. Most our EADs are approved in a month or two nowadays. I mean, US, it's normal is relative. USCIS may say it's normal and not listen to you, but try calling them or contacting your senator or congressperson because the EADs aren't taking that long nowadays. That should have been out by now." Lyndon says, "How can I get emergency visa for my spouse to be with me on a magical emergency, medical emergency?" You just gotta apply for contact the embassy, apply for a visa, and request it and see if it works. Pablo says, "I sent my medical exam for adjustment of status 88 days ago. No updates. Is that normal?" There's no normal when it comes to timelines. Urbano says, "Why is SEAC so difficult to upload documents? Why can't they fix the website?" That's a major problem. So if you're going to get your green card case through the embassy, you have to upload your civil and financial documents through a website known as SEAC, CEAC, for the National Visa Center, part of the Department of State. And there's a glitch on there. So when you upload, it keeps saying image invalid, image invalid. And you print it, do the size, take a photo of it, rescan it. And all of a sudden, a thing that should take 10 minutes takes 3 hours and it still doesn't get fixed. And then you want to just jump off a bridge. So, Urbano, I share your difficulties. We have the same issues with our law firm. It's a nightmare, and it takes something that should be very easy to take. It just sucks up all our time trying to upload something. So it is a disaster, complete disaster, very frustrating. But unfortunately, they don't do anything about it, and I don't think the next administration is going to care enough either. So this is just a mess. But I definitely feel what you're saying, Urbano. It's a disaster. User 77 says, "My husband is a green card holder. He put in his citizenship. That can I go ahead to put my paperwork?" No, he's got to be a citizen. It depends on what kind of status you have, user 77. So schedule a private consultation. Download our guide first. I have a guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, and it breaks down a lot of stuff. So read the guide first and schedule a private consultation. If you're a student visa holder, F1, and you marry, you could get a green card and file potential adjust status a couple months afterwards. Some things may be possible, some not, but I need to know more information about your background. I'll tell you what to do. Exponential asks, "Can a J1 visa change status within the U.S. or the waiver work to change status?" Okay, J1 can change status, not unless they're subject to a 2-year home residency requirement. If you're subject to a 2-year home residency requirement, you have to get that waived. It's going to take too long, and your J1 is going to run out of time. So it depends. It depends. We got to see what's going on and how soon you're starting stuff. Kosai says, if he already answered Kosai's question. Chris says, "Waiting for interview for K1 in Nigeria. How long have you been waiting for the interview? When was the I-129F approved, Chris?" SafeCode says, "Nigeria is super backed up." Hello, Ahmad. SafeCode says, "Hey, I have a 10-year green card. It's April, but been married since 2019. How long do I have to wait to apply for citizenship?" If your spouse has been a U.S. citizen, you could have filed for U.S. citizenship like a year or 2 years ago. So Depends. If you're married to a green card holder, you have to wait a full 5 years. If you're married and living with a U.S. citizen, you could have filed in 2022. No, so I don't know your case. I don't know exactly what your personal background is, but that's why you got to consult an immigration attorney to help you get things done properly and in time. Emma says, what's the next step after I-130 got approved? How long to get the green card? Well, it depends. What kind of I-130 are you talking about? Is this a marriage, parents, child, sibling, adult child, married child? And all of that factor. And then if you're in the U.S., can you do adjustment of status application in the U.S.? If you're embassy consular processing, what country are you born in? Which embassy are you processing? So Emma, Iman, there's a lot. Imanisa, there's a lot of unknowns in your question. Perlita, I think we've been on the show before. What do I need to do if my family is to follow in my visa approval? Well, it depends, Perlita. If you got your visa through the embassy, you just tell the embassy you want to follow the join, and they'll do it. If you got your visa in the United States and you have to have family members come do consular processing outside, then you got to do an I-824, which is a horrible form. It's going to take forever, but you got to file I-824. It depends on how it looks. Chris says, my U.S. wife has not filed for tax for almost 3 years now. Can we still file for change of status? Well, if you mean a green card, it's called adjustment of status, and the affidavit support petitioner has to have filed taxes if it was appropriate to file taxes. If your wife didn't make any income, and she could say the IRS didn't expect any income from me, then that's not needed. But she should file her back taxes if it's not the case. Is TPS people safe on deportation? Generally, yeah. Temporary protected status means you can stay and be here. Now, if you have TPS and you run over somebody and flee the scene of the crime, you'd be subject to deportation because that's a criminal charge. So it's not a catch-all thing, but generally that's what the point of TPS is. Ahmad says, may I ask you to answer? I didn't notice I already answered. I've already answered. So may I ask you to answer my question? Ahmad, I didn't see any questions from you. Let me look back. So Ahmad, something happened where your question never came up. So feel free to ask your question. If I can answer, I'll answer it. Lilia says, usually what takes place in a marriage-based green card interview abroad should be looking out for something specific. Well, it depends on your case, Lillian. If you have unique circumstances, but they're going to talk about your personal history with your spouse, how you met, all that kind of stuff. They look over your documents, make sure everything's okay, affidavit support. But sometimes there's unique issues. I don't know your immigration history. I don't know your arrest or criminal history, what country you're from, what kind of stuff was going on there. So there's a lot that could come up, but generally it's just a standard interview. Fireshot says, if I come to the U.S. with a J visa, can I file for NIW immediately or do I have to wait 90 days? You can file NIW form I-140 whenever you like. That doesn't necessarily mean immigrant intent, but adjustment of status, that could be problematic sometimes. But, that's that. Melvin, Run Regulars, good to see you. Hey, John, good to be here again. Thank you for all you do. God bless you. Thank you so much. John says, considering the standing of the coming administration, is this safe to travel advanced parole? That question about is it safe to travel advanced parole? For someone who doesn't have any immigration issues, then safe even with a new administration. But it really depends on your unique circumstances. It's not a catch-all thing. It depends on you personally. Perlia says, do you know how long is the process? The question I asked prior. It depends, Perlita, which embassy are you dealing with? I think you said the Philippines, but what kind of case category is there a backlog in there? Do you need to do an I-824? It's just a lot of different things. I need more information, and even then, who knows? Farshad says, so the answer is I do not have to wait 90 days. Is that right? I don't want to give a specific answer on the 90-day rule. Frankly, Farshad, I'm being vague on purpose. Just do things, don't have immigrant intent. That's all I can say. Shaima says, CRBA, I paid the fee and waiting to schedule an appointment Djibouti. Do you know the appointments when they're available to check? No, I don't track every embassy in the world, how long things take, so I can't answer that question. Chris says, AC says, I have an F1 visa. I will graduate December 2025. What do I do next? Well, try to get an OPT so you have work for a year and then see if you can find a job or maybe get married or invest start a business. Who knows? So a lot of these factors are possible. It's very case specific, personal specific to see what you could do next. I can't tell you right here what that is. Melvin says, I'm in the States now. So happy to follow your page. Please, what's the benefits of joining the Army? As well, it's not a consultation on this. Join the Army, you can file for expedited citizenship naturalization. On the first day, you go to training, then you can immediately file for citizenship. That's pretty much it, but that's that. How do I contact you? She says, go to jqqlaw.com/contact. That's jqqlaw.com/contact and fill out your information, and so we see what's going on. Missy says, hi, our interview is still being waived for the most part, but that could end soon. Shaima says, do you know if I can apply for a U.S. passport at CRBA interview? Yeah, to fill out both forms, both the CRBA form and also the passport form. Hoyna says, do governments share data? Dazio says, yes, they share. You assume the worst. Joseph says, I sent I-240 regarding my wife I-130. Okay. Will the service center be the same as center approved? Well, who knows? No one knows what service center actually approved your case, even what is on the receipt. And it's not clear who's going to do what. It doesn't really matter. You have no control over it, so it doesn't matter. And then says, I just filed divorce. Can I apply for citizenship if I'm eligible? Have 10-year green card? Yeah, but I'd want to review your case first to see what's going on. Toya says, good night. I'm a green card holder. My wife is a citizen. Can we file for my mom together, or can she? No, you have to be a citizen before you can apply for your mom's green card. Priyan asked about asylum, individual hearing. We don't do asylum at our firm, so I don't advise on that at all or answer questions on it. User 16 says, I have DACA. I just applied for my status and I have advanced parole. How long does it take? However long the government takes, I don't know. My case to get approved, I marry a U.S. citizen. I mean, it could be 3 months, it could be 2 years. Chris says, I was on F1. I got married while in status. I'm currently out of status. Can I change status? Depends. Is your spouse a U.S. citizen or a green card holder? If a citizen, probably. Green card holder, no. Is the Allender Guide, Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, marriageimmigrationlaw.com, and then schedule consultation. We got to talk. We got to get the information out. I mentioned this week where a person incorrectly filed for a green card, got approved, and now we're looking at citizenship. I realized they approved them by mistake. So if you file for citizenship, they're going to take away the green card. So you really want to talk with a lawyer ahead of time, a good lawyer. Not one that just like talks and just gets some money and files the forms, one that's going to research. The client got really annoyed of me because like I was spending so much time researching the history. They're like, just file. No. We have to know what's going on. It's like you go to a doctor, you get these tests. I want to do all the tests. I want to check all your blood work and everything. I don't want to just gung-ho file something. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not filling papers out. I'm a lawyer. I do legal work. Joseph says, thank you so much. You're welcome. I appreciate your guide. God bless, Joseph. Thank you. I wish you the best for you and your wife. Having to do an I-824 is a nightmare, so I have to go through that. DA says, I married a U.S. citizen. I-130 approved. Was deported in the past. Working authorization. Work unauthorized. Do I need a waiver? It depends. Deportation. If they kicked you out and came back in without permission, that's a permanent bar. You really should be here. You should be talking to the attorney in private. You should have a lawyer for that kind of case. And you shouldn't be filing I-130s without a lawyer with that history. Max says, step 3 for interview is saying completed, but I haven't been to interview. I don't know. I don't know what step 3 is. We don't put steps. And immigration department doesn't put steps in their paperwork, so I'm not sure what they're saying. Iman says, marriage giving to spouse as well as adjusted status. I'm giving to my spouse. I'm a U.S. citizen. Iman, I don't understand your question. I might be reading it wrong, but schedule a private consultation. Chris says, waiting 75 days for K1 interview in Nigeria. Yeah, it's probably going to wait much longer than that. It's really backed up in Nigeria. Melissa says, how long seen for I-130 petition for spousal visa? I'm a U.S. citizen. My husband is Jamaica. I-130 is going to take 12 months. Getting interviewed in Jamaica is probably going to take another 12 months. Jenny says, hi, my husband and I recently went to a lawyer. He said it can't take 5 years. Is that true? I don't know what kind of case you have, Jenny. I don't know your background. Maybe. Sarah says, my fiance had to renew his passport. He already had his visa interview and it was under AP. Should we send a copy of the new passport to embassy? If so, how? Yeah, you got to upload a copy to, if it's a fiance case, you can't upload it to SEAC, but see which embassy it is. See if you can email them. They make it very hard to find the email or even listen, but send it anyway. See what happens. Taxer says, if I-130 is approved, can I get a U.S. visitor visa? I'm a Canadian permanent resident. You could apply for a visitor visa. That's up to the embassy consular officer if they approve it or not. 12 says, I'm a British citizen. What options do I have? I want to move to USA. Start a small business, the E2 investor program. Camila says, best advice for aspiring immigration law student. Listen to my professional podcast, the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox podcast, and read the magazine, the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine. And then also join AILA, A-I-L-A, the American Immigration Lawyers Association, as a student member. Do those 3, and you're going to be fast-forwarding your career ahead by 3 years. Juan says, is there a way to become a permanent resident if I was brought here at 2-year-old, now I'm 35? Probably not. It's going to be difficult. They may do a thing where they'll fix it with some sort of amnesty, but it depends. Is there any way? I got to see if there's, if you're a victim of abuse, you married a U.S. citizen, they beat you up, then there's all the sorts of exceptions. So I can't, is there any way? Yeah, there's ways, but they're rare. Do you think Trump will affect I-75 on removal conditions approval percentage? It's not a good way to look at it. If you have a good case, you have a good case. Don't look at general percentages. That's not a good way to look at it. User 16, how long does it take to get your green card approved after applying with advance and marry married U.S. citizen, marry to U.S.? 3 months, 2 years, maybe longer if you have issues. How to schedule a consult with you, AES. Go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Again, that's jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill in the information form there, and we'll get to you after that. Juan says, oh, yeah, answered Juan's question. For SEAC, is it better to scan documents or upload or take picture upload that way? Whatever works. Try both. Any backlog in Honduras for K1 visa? I don't know. I haven't done a K1 visa for Honduras. Chris says, I'm an F1 and got married while in status. I'm currently out of status. I already answered that question. Got a lot of repeat questions I'm trying to sift through. Sarah says, thank you for answering my question. My fiance is a refugee through UN. Is this information a positive impact in AP interview? No. I'm guessing based on your name, you're Iranian, so they're screwed. Maybe. So it doesn't really matter. They're going to go through hell, and they may get hit with the travel ban. But that's that, unfortunately. Garv says, is there any chance that child above 21 old gets a green card, his parents' green card? If the Child Status Protection Act works with them, yeah, we got to do the calculation. Go to YouTube. I have a detailed video on this. Put Child Status Protection Act, JQK law on YouTube. My video will come. I released it like a month ago. So you'll know already if you could join or not. There's a calculation that has to happen. There's some math that has to be done, but you'd already know by now if you could or not. Do you have to wait for I-539 results? I mean, for what? Not sure what you mean. We have questions about asylum court in Chicago. We don't do asylum, so we don't want to talk about that. Okay, the TikTok repeat questions. Okay, let's see. All right. Kosai says your law firm case. I don't know. Garv says, where can I see the video for child protection? I can attach a link. No, I'm doing a live show, Garv. I don't have time to go research a link. You could easily do that by going to YouTube, type in JQK Law, CSPA, and it'll come up. But right now I'm running a show with 100 questions. I can't do something like that. Michelle says, Shanice, does my job have to apply for EB3? Don't answer each other's question on TikTok. This is not anything that's going to be helpful if anyone else can answer here. And then it says, my daughter's name was wrong when I applied for green card for myself only. Is it affected on green card? It can if it's depends on how wrong it is. You're welcome, Garf. Paulie says, loved your videos on NVC requirements. What mistakes do people must not make on DS260? So when you're applying for a green card and you're going through the embassy system, you have to fill out a form DS260, and appreciate it probably watching the video on it. I have like a detailed series on how to do everything. So all this stuff that you could pay me to do, I have detailed videos on how to do it, all of it. It's on YouTube. The S260 mistakes are not including full address history, not getting full police certificates, mostly affidavit support issues for the financial portion, not listing police or arrest history on there, not listing previous applications, petitions, family members, not listing other names used becomes an issue, stuff like that. Iman says, can I withdraw and approve I-130 as a petitioner due to divorce? You can't withdraw the I-130 per se, but you can stop the case at the consular processing step. Say, I don't want to pursue it and stuff. I mean, you could probably withdraw the I-130 too. But if you're not supporting the case and filing for like an affidavit of support, you're essentially stopping the case anyways. How much experience do you have? Just put my name to YouTube and to Google and check it out for yourself. Camilla, best advice is don't ask the same question 50 times. That's not good. I already answered your question. Eric says, came into the United States without permission, married a U.S. citizen. How long to get a green card? It's going to take you a very long time because you have to apply for a waiver, and that's going to take forever since you answered without permission. Luke says, can I still apply for advanced parole DACA? Yeah, it's still possible to apply. I'm not sure they're going to approve it or not. We could apply. I have advanced parole and plan to travel. Too afraid? Then don't do it. Don't stress yourself out. I-130 approved, but 212 pending. How long can the I-130 be out on hold while it is approved? I mean, if you have an I-2 waiver pending, they'll just hold the I-130. Just make sure to contact the government. If you're doing consular processing, make sure to contact them once a year to keep the case open. How long is it for China? How is what for China? There's a lot of different kinds of cases. OC says someone got married to U.S. citizen and have grand larceny by taking his ex-wife phone. That might be a problem. Do you think parole in place might be reconsidered? Doesn't matter what I think. Probably not, but it doesn't matter what I think. I'm not in charge. Sam says, how long does it take for Tal to check after interview? I don't know. I don't know. Kendra says, I got approved for 5-year advanced parole. That's good. Then Polly says, love you. Oh, we already said that. Brown says, I applied VAWA and applied my travel document. Can I travel outside U.S. during Trump administration? I don't know. If you want to risk it, then go ahead. That's up to you. Zekeby says, if a sponsor applied for food stamps during adjustment of status fine, will it affect beneficiary? No. If it's the petitioner, then no. Unless like their financial situation is not to meet the requirements for FA support, but it doesn't directly affect them. But can I still apply for AP with DACA? Yeah, we get a lot of repeat questions. Okay. How long does it take to renounce U.S. citizenship? I haven't ever worked on a case to renounce U.S. citizenship, so I don't have an answer for that. How long does a visa bulletin take to change? Every month they update it, but sometimes there's no change to it. So there's no one knows the answer to that question. Kusei says, I have an affirmative asylum case and I applied while I was in status. I have clean record. Can I adjust my status for consular processing? Is it risky? You're not adjusting your status. Adjustment status means in the U.S., but you could potentially do consular processing. It depends on what you said in your asylum application, too, and what kind of case you have. There's a lot of this stuff going on. Lauren says, why have to have the medical exam? Because it's part of the green card case. You want to make sure you don't have diseases or medical issues. I applied for my I-485 before 7 months. The USCIS sent me a letter about medical exam. I sent my medical. You're probably asking how long it's going to take to get a response. I don't know. My friend is in deportation and her I-130 is pending. Is there a way to expedite the I-130? Yeah, but then what's the point? Okay, expedite I-130, then what? So you have to see what the next step after that is. You're welcome, Kusai. Sumita says, after DQ, how long before interview in Bangladesh? Probably 1 or 2 years. El Bombero says, my wife and I have just received a letter for her I-485 approval. Congrats. How long does it take to receive the green card? Typically within 30 days, but could be 6 months, a year. They could be they lose it. It's all over the place. I'm in Illinois. Can I consult with you if you're in Los Angeles? Yeah, we do our consultations by video. So we consult people all over the world all the time. Scott says, my spouse got denied because we requested to reschedule our second interview. Any tips? You shouldn't be rescheduling marriage or green card interviews. So you may have to refile if it's possible. Or maybe do motion reopen, but probably refile if it's possible. Fever says, my parents have green cards from 9 years ago, but they came to U.S. only 2 times. The last time was 6 years ago. They want to come this spring. Would they have any problems? Yeah, they could stop in the airport and try to take their green cards away and put a removal. That's definitely possible. They might not even board them on the airplane. But yeah, give it a shot. See what happens. Do you take cases in any state? Yeah, we take cases anywhere in the world. We only handle cases where our location doesn't matter. So if you have a case, that's why we have on our website, fill in a little bit of information. If we see it's a case that we can't handle, we don't accept it. But none of the cases we do require us to be anywhere in person. I intentionally did that because I like working remotely. H-1B, passport expiring June 2025 and petition expires September 2025. On last I-94 was September 2025. They should have been up to the date of your passport. They gave you more time. You got lucky right there. It's the incorrect I-94. But you probably want to, what should you do in that situation? And the I-94 is valid even though your passport's expired, huh? It depends. If you're from certain countries, you get an automatic 1-year extension on your passport for US I-94 issuance. So that might be the case. Schedule a private consultation with the attorney. The lawyer who helped you get the H-1B know the answer to that because they can review your country specifics. Viva says, would you save this live, please? If you go to YouTube, it's there. But I haven't given any advice. It just, these issues you have to deal with. That's about it. Okay. What is prima facie about based on VAWA? It means you made the basic requirements of the case. You're welcome, Vivre. All right, we got 2 more minutes to see what kind of questions we get in the last 2 minutes. Sam says the date has changed 2 times in SEAC for AP. Does it mean AP's waiting time is ending? Who knows what AP's what's going on? It's like a black hole. How long does F2A take now for a wife? 3 years. Iman, all right. So do I just write a withdrawal letter and send to USCIS, or I gotta stop in case due to divorce? Yeah, you could do it USCIS, yeah. And also the MVC for case of the MVC. Best state to practice immigration law in? There's no best state because, for example, for me, it doesn't matter what state I'm in. Whatever is comfortable for you and it matches what you want to do, like what language you speak in, what cultures and personalities you want to deal with. It doesn't matter for immigration law. Cristobal says, if I'm in the military, my mother has a residency, can I still help her get citizenship? I don't think at that point, no, I don't think it's expedited citizenship for moms. How long does it take for K2 in China? I don't know. Beaver says, do you think my parents can enter to Canada with a U.S. green card? That's Canadian immigration. Probably not. They probably need a visa for there, but I don't advise on Canadian immigration because I'm not a Canadian immigration lawyer. Humar says, I saw my case, went to decision on my progress tab, but how long will it take to get my approval? The decision is either approval or denial, so it should be right there. Check your receipt notices or wait something in the mail. Sometimes they do it by mistake. Call USCIS if you want. Ask more. Now processing times for I-2212 is 31 months. Really? 31 months? I'm not sure of that. Do you think Trump will... I don't know what Trump will do. I don't know I don't have a crystal ball. Sam says, my spouse got asked for submission for CV. How long will it take to get the visa? There's no timelines for Pakistan. Khamush says, do I need to submit I-693, the I-485? Yes. Or can I submit for that? As of yesterday, they changed the rules on a spur, Khamush, and they require you to do the medical checkup I-693 and submit it with the other one, with the form. Luke says, I wasn't here to hear. Oh, sorry to hear that. Just sent I-129 pack last week. Good luck. How long after the interview you get a decision? There's no timeline. There's no fixed timeline. Myra says, how long does I-485 take after approval I-141? I don't know, 3 months, 9 months, longer. Maybe the visa bulletin is not current for you. Might be Chinese or Indian. Okay, so let's take 1 or 2 more questions and call it a day. Kimar says, correction, it seems the interview was waived. Well, that's good news. And that's that. Okay, let's take 2 more questions. Can I file a vaccine waiver for Interview Mexico? You give it a shot. It's going to take forever to get a decision, and it's going to waste all your time. You're probably getting denied, so I wouldn't do that. But, you know, it is what it is. Some people don't want vaccines. Queen says, it's 3 years already my VAWA. No green card. Yeah, those are backed up. You're welcome, Cristobal. And Throwback says, how long will it take to get a green card after fiance visa marriage? Can Trump change it? Well, the marriage doesn't lead to a green card. It's filing the paperwork. So we got to see when you file your paperwork, can Trump change it? Yeah, he can slow things down. Do whatever he wants. Aisha says, can a parent petition for their biological child? The child is adopted, is now an adult. No, if you're not the parent anymore because they're adopted somewhere else, you're not listed on their birth certificate, so that's done. Imam says, so I just write withdrawal letter. I said, yeah, that's something you could do. I can't give individual legal guidance because they'll say, oh, John didn't say this, that, but generally that's what withdrawal is. If you go to USCIS.gov, they'll explain it there too. That's that. Ashu says, after saying RFE, how soon we get a decision? There's no timeline for that. So let's wrap it up. That's it for today. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll be back again next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Take your questions live. You're welcome, Iman. I'm Immigration Lawyer John Castravi. Schedule a private consultation. The best way to do this, go to jqqlaw.com/contact. Again, that's jqqlaw.com/contact. I'm Immigration Lawyer John Castravi. Wish you all the best. God bless. Be safe. And see you all next week. If we don't have a pop-up, see you sooner.